Hello, Americans. Today is November 5th. That means it is Election Day. Get out there, vote, make sure that your voice is heard, and don't let everyone else dictate what your politics are going to be. And, maybe if you vote, give yourself a little treat for doing a good job and contributing to democracy. Hello, folks. Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU, here for another Legacy video, and Eric gave me a dealer's choice donation deck list, and I want to use this to keep exploring the energy shell that we've been seeing in Legacy. I think last week for you all, I 5-0'd with a blue-white energy deck list, and I think one of the things I said at the end of that video was whoever finally cracks this shell and gets all the flex slots right and the colors right is going to be at a very large tournament advantage, but I don't really know that we found it yet. So every time that I see something different utilizing this shell, I want to check it out. And this is a Mardu list from a 5-0 league. And it's doing something pretty interesting here. The black doesn't honestly matter all that much. What I'm more interested in is Staff of the Storyteller, and we'll come back to this in a minute, but I want to start with the other side of this deck list. So, the Guide of Souls, Ocelot, Pride, Ajani engine is a multi-format all-star at this point. And one of the things that this does a really, really good job of doing is making your early game strong. But we exist in a format where there are very, very powerful sweepers, such as Supreme Verdict, Wrath of the Skies, Toxic Deluge, and sometimes it can be a little hard to come back from those sorts of things. And that's what I really like about this deck list in particular. Staff of the Storyteller is a way to get a ton of card advantage. This is a card that was very, very strong in Legacy for a little while, and then Orcish Bowmaster took over the format, and it disappeared off the face of the earth. And now Bowmasters might have fallen enough in popularity where this is playable again. So when it enters, we get a 1/1 Spirit token, and whenever we create one or more creature tokens, we're going to put a story counter on Staff of the Storyteller. And we can pay 1 mana to remove a story counter from this to draw a card. So, in theory, if we get our engine going and we are making tokens every turn, that means that we can also draw a card every turn. And if we don't need those tokens, they can become fodder for a Cabal Therapy, which becomes a more and more powerful card as you have a better idea of what matters in a matchup, what matchup you are playing, and things of that general nature. Cabal Therapy is particularly interesting in this shell because you can use it to sacrifice cats to flip your Ajani, which is something that can be a little bit difficult to do, and people are often relying on Broadside or maybe a Goblin Bombardment or another card of that general nature to accomplish that. I like a lot of what's going on here. We have 5 main deck white removal spells that can just, tell Psychic Frog to fuck off. We have a little bit more removal beyond that if we kind of count some of the other things that may be removal as removal. And we do have Cabal Therapy as additional interaction. So whereas the blue-white deck was, generally speaking, pretty linear, it was just trying to do something powerful, fast, and consistently, maybe with a day's backup, I think this one is going to end up being a touch more interactive on average. Now, as far as the sideboard goes, Harsh Mentor seems like a called shot to me. It feels like someone lost to Nadu one too many times and went, absolutely fuck that deck. I know what I'm about. I'm not losing to that one. And Harsh Mentor seems like a ton of damage for those sorts of deck lists, with maybe some other utility in other matchups. This deck is lighter on Graveyard Hate than I personally might like. The format is so focused on Reanimator right now that a lot of sideboards are starting with like 5 or 6 pieces of Graveyard Hate. But, we have Pyroblast that can kill Psychic Frogs in addition to our Swords to Plowshares, so hopefully this still gives us a fine matchup. We can Long Goodbye if we want Uncounterable on top of that, and we can go really heavy into the control route if we want. Although I'll have to kind of really think about the in-out numbers if we play against Reanimator, as we would need to remove a pretty good number of cards to get all of these in here. with that being said, let's go ahead and hop into the matches here. Folks, if you need cards, check out my sponsor, TOAMagic.com. I just got a ton of stuff from them in Vegas. I sold them cards. I bought cards from them. Just thumbs up, great vibes all around. Promo code ThrabenU will save you 5% on your order, and if you're ordering online, you always get free shipping anyway. Let's go make some energy. So I've got a really tough decision on turn 1. Do I lead on Guide of Souls, or do I lead on Mother of Runes? I think I'm leading on Mom. Mom active is a really big deal. I'm going to play my Caracas out first. I might need some degree of flexibility with these lands, but leading on Caracas and inform a blue-black Reanimator deck that they should entomb or an Archon of Cruelty rather than an Altraxa. So it's possible in the dark with such a huge percentage of the metagame being blue-black Reanimator that it's just wrong to lead on Caracas. Well, I mean, yeah, I will take my value here. We don't need to get cheeky and attack with Mom. New fetch land, presumably for like an Underground Sea now. Yes, and a shuffle. Ooh, that's quite good. Am I doing that immediately? I'd honestly rather just get Guide of Souls in and then get multiple Guide of Souls triggers off of it. And we will hold up Caracas here, as there is a known Tamiyo that my opponent could be playing out. Goodbye, Tamiyo. Still not getting cheeky with a Mom attack. There just seems to be no need to me. Second land drop. That's fine. So the desire to get Guide of Souls into play means that Bowmasters doesn't trigger off this, but Bowmasters would have been countered anyway. So my opponent used their Force of Will on a 1-drop rather than a 2-drop. So I'm going to consider that a win. That's almost a good card. I don't think I am interested in that immediately. Also, is there a Surveil land in my deck? I guess that sort of matters. Well, we're going to find out. I don't know that I'm fetching one if I do. Okay, I have an Elegant Parlor, which doesn't work here. So I will go Scrub into Bowmasters. I don't really know that this is going to work in one capacity or another. Sure, that's fine. Main deck, Cling to Dust. And now that this Bowmaster is in play, Mom protects it. So this is not bad. Let us Cabal Therapy. We are getting a response. Would you like to brainstorm in response? Lightning Bolt on Mom. Well, Mom is going to attempt to protect herself. So that's a little bit of a weird play. My opponent probably has like a Fatal Push or a Lightning Bolt in hand, and they were trying to get Mom tapped and then get me to miss. Or it could just be Culligan's Command. This is a bit of a called shot. There's not going to be very many copies of this, but this is something that would make sense that my opponent would want Mom tapped, but can't play it immediately. Culligan's Command. God, I am so handsome. So incredibly smart and handsome. Combat. Send in. 16. Flashback Cabal Therapy, targeting you. Sacrificing an orc. Naming Baleful Strix. That feels good. Alright, well, you have a Surveil land in hand, but I accidentally crossed it out. Fast turn. So my opponent has a window to top deck a removal spell that can answer Mom or Bowmasters. They junked a Strix. Okay, yep, I mean, that is happening. I still have the Bowmaster, though, and I'm also going to have Broadside. My Cabal Therapy doesn't have a lot of text here. We will play a Broadside, and I have to figure out what I'm wastelanding. I'm always attacking for 3. I'm never throwing Bowmasters. The obvious answer is go after the color, so that if my opponent wants red, they have to crack the fetch for it. And we're going to do this now, because a Cling to Dust is chilling in the graveyard. Ooh, tapped land has a real cost here. Scrubland, not good. I'll play it. It is not doing me a lot of good sitting in hand. Opponent's down to 10. And just chilling. This is presumably some spell. Love this. We find Cabal Therapy-ing on the way in here. I think so. What is like a small reactive spell that I could name that could mess with this Ajani? Actual factual counter spell, maybe? It is a Thoughtseize. Sure. That's fine. I don't super care about that. So, Yaw and Yaw. Make a friend. and that's good enough for my opponent. They get attacked for 3, then I throw a cat at their face for 2 more, then I have an active planeswalker. That one felt good. So Pyroblasts are fine, they can help me get through Baleful Strix and friends, while also potentially answering Tamiyo's Psychic Frogs, things of that general nature. Beyond that, my cards aren't amazing. I'll probably play a couple of long goodbyes to just kind of randomly catch the like Narset style mid-range cards that this deck may be playing. But the destroy creature mode is pretty weak, so I'm not in love with it. My opponent has enough cards with different names that do the same sort of thing that Cabal Therapy isn't necessarily going to be the best. Like, I know that I got the perfect name, like I just read my opponent's situation very, very well, and I got a probably game-winning Cabal Therapy hit that game. But that won't necessarily always be the norm, and I think I could probably nuke Prismatic Ending if I am bringing in other removal options. About the only other thing I could do is consider playing Harsh Mentor as a just 2/2 duder that punishes my opponent for playing fetch lands. I'm not super excited about that. This doesn't line up well versus like Snapcaster Mage and Baleful Strix and stuff like that. So this is what I'm looking at. I'm going to think about Surgical Extraction for just a second. I'm not the most hyped about that. Yeah, I think I'm going to pass on boarding that in. This hand needs more mana, but is incredibly powerful. If I assume that this game on average goes to like 7 turns or beyond, I think this plays Magic a high enough percentage of the time that I am just good with this. The real question is what combination, like what color combination this is getting. I think the answer is that this is red-white, and I think I just ignore the Bowmasters. So we will Plateau Guide of Souls to start things off. And I would love to have Ocelot Pride with Pyroblast back up next turn. Like, that would be really cool. But we'll kind of take whatever we can get here. There's the fetch to clear that Brainstorm, and presumably remove Guide of Souls. Didn't have it. So I think I'm just going to do a love tap for 1, and then play a creature. Obviously not enough energy to do anything cool this turn. Is it just something like Staff of the Storyteller this turn instead? The Ocelot Pride just gets a lot worse if my opponent just lightning bolts this creature or whatever. I might want Staff of the Storyteller with Pyroblast back up. In which case I play Ajani or Amped Raptor here instead. Okay, yeah, I have changed my mind. This is gonna get a scrub and get blue blasted. A relatively rare card these days. Let's go Amped Raptor. Although I guess the Amped Raptor gets worse in my post-board configuration. Okay, cool. So my opponent Force of Willed a creature. And a lot of times this deck normally just 1-for-1s with creature. So my opponent might be removal light. That's just something that I should keep in mind in my head here. Under shuffles. Ooh, they are land light. Cool. So now we're going to go Staff with Pyroblast backup. Nice. So this is just happening at this point. Yeah and yeah. I'll only have 2 energy if I play Ocelot Pride. I'll just attack now. If a Fatal Push happens in combat or anything. 16. I think I'm okay just playing Ocelot Pride and trying to get a bunch of counters on Staff of the Storyteller now. Nice. I think if I untap with this Pyroblast up, I'm just very, very likely to win the game. But my opponent does not have access to red mana as of now. This is a Strix. I can just Bowmaster that out of the way and get in for a shit ton of damage. And I have Pyroblast to back it up. This feels just fucking disgusting. So yeah. King Strix. Make triggers. Go to punchies. Send them. Definitely paying. I'm going to put these counters on Ocelot Pride, I think. So Ocelot Pride. No. Ocelot Pride still dies a lightning bolt. I think they should have gone on Guide of Souls. My bad. So now we're just going to do more stuff here. Oh, holy fuck. Oh my god. Oh, so many triggers. Anyway, we can draw 6 cards with fucking Staff of the Storyteller, folks. And we have the City's Blessing for the rest of the game. So Ocelot Pride is juiced. I will fire off Pyroblast on literally any cantrip at this stage. Didn't even need to. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and I could say all sorts of great things about them, but I'm just going to point to this number. I have 488 deck lists stored on this site. That should give you a feel for how I feel about this website. And if you were to go to my profile, you could see all the deck lists that I'm messing around with, including my EDH decks, and you can even see some of the deck lists I record with before they hit the channel. Ooh. Okay. I probably have a below average power level hand. I could just play Staff of the Storyteller, draw a card on turn 3, and hope that it goes somewhere. But I think given how good the energy cards are in opening hands, I could just do better than this. Yeah, this hand is batshit insane. We'll probably just keep all the duders and get rid of Prismatic Ending. That is not guaranteed to be a good card in a vacuum. And I think with 2 copies of Guide of Souls, I don't actually lead on Mother of Runes here. There's really strong upside for me if my opponent does not have an immediate removal spell, and I can just play Ocelot Pride into Wasteland, the first land. Don't you dare chalice me. Oh, thank God. Woo! Woo! That was almost scary. So, Wasteland, you play Ocelot Pride. I should technically do this post-combat, but it probably doesn't matter here. And we're going to make a cat friend at end of turn. We are going to fucking ball out of control this game. That's too slow. That is absolutely too slow for what's about to happen here. We'll grab a Plateau. I will first play a new Guide of Souls so that I get additional energy here. Then I play Mother of Runes. Now we get multiple sets of energy. Crash on in. I have one of these. We're going to say yes. We're going to put these counters on our lifelinker here and hit in for a moderate amount of damage. We get multiple triggers at end step. Not quite to the City's Blessing. We probably will be next turn. If my opponent just concedes here, we don't have the most information about what they are doing. 3? Well, there's no takesy backsies now. So this is presumably like a Karn or something then? Or Mystic Forge, the One Ring, Assault Monolith, sure. Now we know what deck my opponent is playing. Now they've got a chance. So I can play an Ocelot Pride here, gain some life. This is just on attack, right? Yes. So given that, make the Ocelot Pride from hell. Just put it outside of dismember range. Let's put some counters on that. I'll do it twice. All right. We have made a giant creature. And then at end step, this happens. And we are now at the City's Blessing. So we go hard. And we're going to get another set of triggers. We have made a cat party. Now, my opponent does have very, very powerful lines available to their deck, and Urza Saga can just immediately represent a key, which represents either mana or cards. So, like, we can lose from this position, and we'll see what happens. I don't get to F6 because I have an active Mom and a Swords of Plowshares that I might need to cast. Down to 7. Fuck. That's very bad. That is what we didn't want to happen. Now it's incredibly likely that I die. It's not over or anything, but there's a very good chance that we either get locked out or literally lose the game here. Because every spell that my opponent casts just represents a ton of mana and cards. For your entertainment purposes, I'm going to fast forward this now. So my opponent is now playing a Glaring Fleshraker, which means that every spell played is now being converted into damage, which is really bad. This is probably death. It takes a while, but it's probably death. So at the next time that I end up with priority, we're gonna try to stop this, and I succeed in the short term. Actually, I guess I'm at 43 life. It's possible some Glaring Fleshraker lines might not be enough to kill me individually. Unfortunately, there is now a second Glaring Fleshraker. My opponent has 42 cards in hand. So multiple Glaring Fleshrakers here probably kills me. At this point, I'm just going to F6 and see if I'm dead. Okay, here is a Kozilek's command for X equals 40 with 3 Glaring Fleshrakers in play. That'll do nicely. We'll go ahead and concede here. I'm trying to concede. I cannot concede. The game has died. It was a good run, Magic Online. Unbounded loop detected. Game is a draw? Okay, what created the unbounded loop? Scry 40? Huh. Okay. I don't know about that. I also physically could not concede there. So, like, I tried to give my opponent the win. What does Harsh Mentor trigger on? Yeah. Yeah. We like that. So I'm in on Harsh Mentor. A Deafening Silence is probably worth playing for the combo turns. I don't know that I'm into any of this other stuff. Long Goodbye is technically playable. Cabal Therapy and Mother of Runes are pretty meh. Swords to Plowshares isn't exactly great either, but I probably need to keep it for Glaring Fleshraker and to a lesser extent Urza Saga Construct tokens. There might be a couple sideboard dismembers that Mom can impact. I think I'm okay with that just not being in the deck. I think I'm going to trim a couple of Cabal Therapies. Like, in the dark, I can name the One Ring, and that is pretty good. But there's a decent degree of redundancy in this deck list. Like, there's multiple things that I need to hit. It's not like stopping one thing is always just going to win the game. Yeah, I just have a Harsh Mentor here. This is fine. Yeah, this seems like a kick in the teeth. So yeah. Plateau and Cat. And this, like, very, very much turns my opponent's life total into a resource very quickly. So let's attempt to swing in with the cat, see if that gets a dismember. It does not. So we'll fetch. I think I am just going to drop Harsh Mentor ASAP, despite the fact that playing Amped Raptor might end up being more favorable here. I don't want to play Deafening Silence out before I play Amped Raptor out. Well, maybe that doesn't matter too much, because I'm pretty likely to hit creatures. Alright, there is a Basalt Monolith, and my opponent is passing. Sure. Let's fetch. I will play an Amped Raptor with the intention of doing a Deafening Silence in a second. Oh, hey, it's Deafening Silence. Combat. Send it. 4/4. So I have cast a Deafening Silence, so I can't cast my other Deafening Silence here. And now I will do a thing. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So next turn I'll have the City's Blessing for Ocelot Pride. Alright, no Urza Saga tokens, so we're not trying to play fair here. This is presumably going to be one of the keys. Oh, it is a Haywire Might. Sure. You have the green mana to activate that. Get rid of my Deafening Silence. If you do, I will play another Deafening Silence. There's an Urza's Tower at the cost of City of Traders. So that's my opponent's 1 for this turn. The One Ring is going to be expensive here. Now this time, the One Ring protection trigger means that they are not going to take damage, but that won't be true in the future. This is going to be a Surveil land. There's the City's Blessing. I think it is more important to play a new Deafening Silence than it is to get Staff of the Storyteller into play. So my opponent has their work cut out for them. Harsh Mentor, plus the One Ring, plus Deafening Silence. Lots of moving parts here. Alright, here we go. Now, Haywire Might does also represent 2 more life. No green mana yet. 5 mana, Paradox Engine probably? Or just a Kozilek's Command? It is Paradox Engine. So that's a lot less scary with Deafening Silence in play, though. Let's Surveil. Has to be a red-white land. Broadside. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Theoretical lethal. This is fine going on top. So, Broadside. Staff of the Storyteller. Make a 1/1. This is 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 combat damage, plus I can throw for 4. Send it. Okay, so my opponent just takes that. Going to 3. Broadside. Target you. Throw the staff. My opponent dies. We win game 2. We are now up a game. I don't think I'm going to change my sideboarding, but I'm going to think about the other 2 Cabal Therapies when I'm on the draw. It's now a little bit harder for me to get something like a turn 2 play like a Bowmaster or a Harsh Mentor down before my opponent does their thing. So it may just be that I should trim something like Fable of the Mirrorbreaker when I am on the draw to get a little bit faster. This is great. This is turn 1 Deafening Silence. I have a Wasteland for an Urza Saga or an early Ancient Tomb that's played out. If Prismatic Ending for key, this is quite good. Now, my opponent can go under me if they have both Grim Monolith and key, and that could be bad. 4 mana on turn 1 is pretty hot. Yep. And passing turn, though. That's cool. So what is the most important thing here? I can take out a key. My opponent had 4 or 5 mana. So they might not have a good payoff card, at least not one to do immediately. But the hand was still a keep. I'm just going to play the Deafening Silence. I'm going to do so with red as my secondary color. And then next turn, I can maybe start thinking about Wasteland plus Prismatic Ending or something. Tower. Okay. Not really going to say that that's fine, but it has happened. Now, the 1-for-1 trades are a lot less attractive with the One Ring in play already. I might still be taking them, but they are going to feel a lot less good. Here I wish I had white-white. I'm going to try to temporarily bottleneck my opponent on mana, I think. I'm going to Prismatic Ending the Manifold Key and Wasteland and Ancient Tomb. I'm then hoping to draw more white mana sources. I can play multiple creatures in the same turn still. So I could like drop Guide of Souls, Ocelot Pride, or double Ocelot Pride and still hopefully do something cool. But this is bad. Handy Trail. That's fine. Okay, so Planar Nexus plus Urza's Tower means that this is now 4 mana. My opponent doesn't have that much stuff to do. I guess I am thankful for that. Is it Ocelot Pride over Guide of Souls? And I attempt to go wide by attacking with Ocelot Pride and then making cat tokens with both. I think I like that. The traditional sequencing is definitely Guide of Souls first, but my opponent might end up with a large blocker in the not-too-distant future. I'm slightly worried that this is just going to die immediately to a Kozilek's command, but I don't really have any agency here. I just need to play a 1-drop. I am correct. So I imagine that the temporary mana bottleneck that I created last turn is now over. Green mana. Are we Haywire Mighting? We are Bosejuing. That's bad. That's very, very bad. Now my opponent can play multiple cards. That's just 6 mana. Yeah. So now we are in another one of those non-deterministic spots where I probably lose the game. But my opponent lost the last one, so... you know. Alright, a few cards later, we have a Glaring Fleshraker. And all sorts of Plowshares that as soon as I have priority. Which should have happened there, but I have some auto yields on. Turn off auto yields. My opponent will get 1 spawn out of that they should not have gotten. But mana is never a bottleneck here. So now I am just fully F6'd. I have no form of interaction anymore. And a couple minutes later, with 3 Glaring Fleshrakers in play, my opponent has reduced my life total to 0, and now we move to game 4, where I am on the play. I could swap my Fables back in. I think I'll just keep the Cabal Therapies. I'm a little on the fence about them, but I think they're fine. Yeah. I think this is okay if I Cabal Therapy Grim Monolith immediately. So we'll go Scrubland, Cabal Therapy, target you, and we need to just get out of the early game. So we're going to take my opponent's like best possible mana production. We take Grim Monolith. Mishra's Research Desk is not scary here. I have multiple Wastelands for my opponent's Urza Sagas or Ancient Tombs. So this is okay. My opponent does not have green for Haywire Might yet. So, bam, bam, Guide of Souls. We are not interested in Cabal Therapying away any of those cards. Opponent will run back Urza Saga and then presumably play the other Mishra's thingy. Oh, they drew Candy Trail. It's sort of interesting to play Candy Trail over either of these when I am a Cabal Therapy deck. Not saying right or wrong, just interesting. So, I like the idea of playing Ajani and generating the Planeswalker. But if I do that, I give my opponent an artifact token that's at least a 3/3 in size. And I don't think I am on board with that. So we're just going to continue to strip lands here and have a slightly unimpressive turn. My next 2 turns, in theory, look pretty good. It is Ajani into a decent amount of combat damage into broadside. And I can choose whether or not I am going to Cabal Therapy away a cat immediately. Sure. Alright, so my opponent chooses a Planar Nexus and plays it, and then does another one of these. Amped Raptor. Amped Raptor has some really high upside. I'm going to cast that despite my curve being a little bit smoother. If I Ajani. Hey, it's Ajani anyway. So we're gonna gain some more energy here. We'll Cabal Therapy, target you, sacrifice a Cat Warrior token. Yes, turn that into the Planeswalker. We will name the known card. All right, Manifold Key and Ancient Tomb remaining. Now we'll 0 this, make a cat. We're going to gain some more energy. I'll dome your face. Go to Punchies. Send in, I will grow my creature for another 3 damage. So we have some okay board control and reach going on here. But my opponent can just top deck a 4-drop. Yep. So that's very unfortunate, especially with this as the final remaining card. So we're going to put +1/+1 counters on cats this turn, from the look of things. So there's a cat. Yeah. Here's 2 cats. Yeah. And yeah. Cats get big. Do I need to grow anything out of Dismember range? Sure. Actually, I might just want more things that can fly. More different things that can fly. Let's put some more counters on this. All right. Cool. So we have the City's Blessing, so we get some more cats. So my opponent has a decent shot at winning the game here. If they don't, I can win a number of different ways, either through direct combat damage, or by an Ajani 0, or by an Ajani minus. Like, we've got options. I guess one of the things that I could have done differently this game is, instead of making a cat and doming my opponent for 4, I could have just plussed immediately for no value, so that I can do the pseudo cataclysm mode the following turn. You know, that is a thing that is allowed. My opponent just plays another 1 ring and passes. I will cataclysm them. Does it hit the lands? No. It'll wipe out a couple artifacts. Yeah, that's not actually that strong. The 4 life is starting to look relevant, though. Alright, so there's that. So, I will do the ultimate here. It probably leaves my opponent with the 1 ring, but gets rid of 3 other permanents. And we'll do this. We will gain some life. Let's just make this bigger. Yes. And then make some friends end of turn. Gaining a relatively large amount of energy. Opponent is at 5 with multiple Ancient Tombs and beyond lethal damage in play. I still absolutely am not safe. We'll see how it breaks down. It is another 1 ring. You've got it. That means that Ancient Tomb is tappable for no damage this turn. So an Ancient Tomb tap is off the table for next turn as of right now. This is what my opponent needs. The 1 ring is scary, though, at this point. Like, now, neither one of the Ancient Tombs can be tapped for mana next turn. Alright, so my opponent has protection from everything again. So we're just going to put +1/+1 counters on these things. I'm going to hold this creature just in case some weirdo sweeper that I'm not thinking of, like All Is Dust, happens. Let's make more things fly, I guess. Let's make more things fly. Oh, I only have 1 Guide of Souls. Alright, so just you fly. Alright, so my opponent goes to 1. So mana is definitely a bottleneck this turn. My opponent needs a Grim Monolith, I think, to physically produce enough mana to get to where they need to go. Alright, so now they have to win this turn or play the final copy of the 1 ring, which is potentially not in their main deck and could be Karned for. I don't believe that I have seen Karn yet, though, in their build. There is a Glaring Fleshraker. That is also something that can help out with the mana. I don't have a removal spell this time. I, in fact, have no interaction. I am, however, at 35. There's the Grim Monolith. That's one of the things that I think my opponent needs. So now 2 keys would be pretty ideal, one to work with Grim Monolith and one to work with the One Ring. There's another Glaring Fleshraker. Sure. All right, there's a first key. There's another One Ring. If my opponent doesn't kill me, this isn't actually that scary. Okay, so they have kept the One Ring with counters on it, so they are going for a win rather than trying to stay alive. If they tried to stay alive, I broadside one Glaring Fleshraker and Ajani another one, and that's just simply not good enough. There's the Paradox Engine. Note that I could probably time my opponent out if I like manually make them go through the like priority passes here. I'm not interested in doing that. Like, as far as I'm concerned, my opponent already won this game because like they hit a loop that was avoidable. They just play differently. Use spell laters, we have a third Glaring Fleshraker, which is really going to amp up the damage, and I think put me out of contention for this one. I could have played Broadside for 2 more points of life. I don't know that that's relevant here, but this is a pretty disappointing loss. But that's Magic, right? Okay, I don't think I like this opening hand. Like, I don't think my deck is meant to be played defensively like this. I have such great offensive hands, especially when I'm on the play. I don't think I'm into that compared to other more powerful openers that I have. Like this much better. This just puts my opponent to the test much, much, much more quickly and gives me 2 removal options for early opposing threats, if that matters. Oh, fuck me, I guess. Cool. Cool. We amped Raptoring. We have literally anything that I can hit that disrupts a reanimate. Cabal Therapy. Let's go. Ah! Target you. My opponent Force of Wills it. Understood. I'm gonna go to combat. I'm gonna attack for 1. Opponent goes to 18. Cabal Therapy. Target you. Sacrifice Amped Raptor. Name Reanimate. Ha ha ha! Feels good. I'll make a cat. Now, do we still have problems? Yes. You know, there are still the, Animate Deads, Metamorphosis Fanatics, the remaining copies of Reanimate. My opponent has Ponder to dig a couple deep for them. They can leave one of them on top if they find one so that I can't immediately disrupt that. Like, there's still some bad things going on here. But I have a parade of cats, and we're going to try to stay positive. I do have an answer to the Atraxa at the ready. It's mostly a question of, like, does the Atraxa find Force of Will to back it up? Never mind, I don't have an answer. That's rough. Well, hopefully my opponent just dies. We might be able to take actual factual reanimate off the table. Like, this brings my opponent to 8. So we're close, and that gets us there. I'll play a Guide of Souls. That'll help out with Ocelot Pride in a second here. Yeah. Gain that energy. Opponent does not fetch for Surveil Land, so they are keeping Reanimate on. As we all know, Atraxa costs 7, and definitely not 8. Okay, so now I actually have to think about sideboarding for this matchup. So always those, and then I have more removal spells that I can be thinking about. I don't think I like Ending. Ending feels clunky. It occasionally can do something cute by removing an Animate Dead. I don't think I like Cabal Therapy. I might need to keep it, but my opponent has 3 different cards that can potentially reanimate. So, like, I think it was very much a tell that my opponent had exactly reanimate if they were willing to just hard discard Atraxa to hand size there, but I think that's often not going to be the case. And sending Metamorphosis Fanatic to Graveyard in particular is very awkward. And then I need to think about whether or not I want either of these cards. This is an uncounterable answer to a Frog, and this sweeps Metamorphosis Fanatic and anyone else that it brought with it while dodging my creatures. So do I, for example, want to trim the Fable of the Mirror Breakers that are slow, or the Mother of Runes that is maybe not essential to my game plan to have more interaction? I think in the pre-Metamorphosis Fanatic world, I just kind of let it ride. But I think in the post-Metamorphosis Fanatic world, I like this a lot. Do I, yeah? I don't hate it, honestly. We're kind of on a don't lose plan. Yeah, I mean, I think it's too good to throw back, but it's definitely awkward. I just don't know that it does enough. Fuck yeah. What do my basics look like? Just plains? I go off a color if I go for basic plains. I don't really want to get wastelanded though. I'm gonna play Guide of Souls, and maybe I get punished by surgical getting dazed or something. I don't know that I get to do nothing though. There is the Entomb. There is the Atraxa. We'll see if Animate Dead or Reanimate or whatever happens. It does. Surgical, Atraxa, paying 2 life. Yep, that occurs. It does not feel good. There's no force of will here, so hopefully I just remove Atraxa and we move on with our respective lives. Delta Days Bargoyf. I crossed out Delta. My bad. I'm probably getting a Surveil land in this turn cycle. So yeah. And in for 1. Now, we are on the surface back in this game, but I think I am very, very, very far behind. This is one of those things that happens when you're playing against Blue-Black Reanimator, is the illusion of a game. Like, it feels like there's some back and forth here. My opponent only got a 4-for-1 with the Atraxa, right? Like, they drew 3 cards and then took a Swords out of my hand, and that was a bad Atraxa. Oh no. Opponent has like an Archon of Cruelty or something in their hand that they are now going to discard to hand size. That's super unfortunate. So I'm just going to assume that Archon of Cruelty is about to hit the graveyard. I am not interested in drawing this, given the degree of danger that is almost certainly coming here. Yep. So, let's wasteland your land. Opponent was lazy. Did not float mana. I'm going to go ahead and make some cats here. Gonna be 2 energy, not 3, unfortunately. I'll send in for 1. So hopefully they have like Animate Dead or Metamorphosis Fanatic and not another Reanimate. Fuck yeah. Amped Raptor is cool. Amped Raptor is very cool, especially with 2 energy floating already. I don't really want my opponent to Surveil land, but I think they already have what they need in hand. So I think I am probably playing both Mother of Runes and Amped Raptor this turn. I don't think my opponent gets to daze me. I'm going to pull a land out of the deck first. I guess that doesn't matter here because I'm revealing until I hit other things. All right, Amped Raptor. Gain life. We do have some misses here. Ocelot Pride is not a miss. Gain another life. Play a Mom. Gain another life. Again, not really dazable here. We're going to go ahead and send on in. This is, I think, just going on the Guide of Souls directly, like so. So our opponent goes to 10. I'm going to make some cats. I do have the City's Blessing. I'm at 22. I think I get to just kill Archon with the backside of my Planeswalker. I'm going to lose 1, then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, wait, I'm not going to have this. Okay. We won. I wonder if my opponent had ways to win that they didn't take. Like, was it really correct to skip land drops multiple times to put those creatures into the graveyard? I don't remember if I had showed Wasteland or not. I wonder if my opponent had more agency there than it looked like from my side of the battlefield. This hand has a lot of very good stuff, but is fully dependent on drawing another land, and probably flops around and dies if you don't get that land. I think I just mulligan here. Do I want to try to play control? No. Am I going to keep anyway? I think so. I think I'll keep 2 fetches. Give myself a little bit more flexibility in case this red source gets nuked by something. I'm intending this to be Elegant Parlor at the end of my opponent's turn. Sure. Okay. So we were playing against some sort of like Nadu Cephalid Breakfast style deck. I don't think I need to play this Staff of the Storyteller out like hyper immediately. I think I'm still going to take this Elegant Parlor value. I do not want that. Let's attempt to remove a creature just at sorcery speed. And then as long as this gets removed, I am comfortable playing Guide of Souls. If my opponent Force of Wills here, it means that they probably just have Cephalid Illusionist, and are going to play that. So that a potential like Daze type card does not disrupt this, I think I am just going to go ahead and remove this immediately. My opponent has shown me that they value it highly. Now this maybe means that my opponent dedicates their mana to something else this turn. I'm hoping that that's fine. Yeah, there's Wizard for Cephalid Illusionist. Oh fuck, they had another side of that. Okay, that's great. That's very, very, very good. Alright. Cabal Therapy, target you. We're gonna name Cephalid Illusionist. Ooh, there's the Daze. There's the Daze that I played around. Nice. That means that I can't Staff of the Storyteller this turn? Oh, fuck, I can. My opponent has Cavern of Souls. Fuck yeah. And then it probably doesn't matter what land I get from here. We're going to play the more expensive card now. I have a better chance at multi-spelling next turn if I do this one. Now, we can just fully die to a top deck here. Just full disclosure, that is a thing that can happen. Nice! So my stuff's just going to resolve and work. So here's Guide of Souls. Here's a Bowmaster. Ooh. Force of Will Junks Daze. You got it. Go to Punchies. Attack for 1. 18. Ball Therapy. Target you. Junk Spirit Token. Take out the known Brainstorm. And pass. So I have 1 card queued up versus my opponent's 0 cards. My opponent can't cantrip. Again, we can die to top deck Cephalid Illusionist. That is very much a thing that can happen here. Let's draw our card. Ooh. That is probably worth playing over Ajani. We'll see where it ends up. We could high roll and do some cool Guide of Soul stuff this turn. I will not cast Swords to Plowshares. Ajani would have been better in this instance. I will say yes to this and go ahead and hit my opponent. And next turn I can play Ajani and draw a new card off Staff of the Storyteller. Cool. Double cool. Yeah. Daze still isn't live. Never mind drawing the cards off Staff of the Storyteller. Let's always yield to these. Play Cat Friend. We're going to gain some more life. Make a 2/1. Put more counters on Staff. Let's always yield to that as well. So now I have 3 energy. So we'll send in. We'll make Amped Raptor fly now. And we'll kill our opponent next turn if they don't top deck and kill us. Okay, triggers. Triggers. We have them. Yeah, Staff of the Storyteller might be the thing that kind of cracks open this shell. This is a really good innovation. Like, this is so much versus a control deck. And we just, like, see if we dodged versus combo in the first game. We do. Harsh Mentor, you say, in the sideboard. I don't mind that at all. This is a lot versus like the Shuko Nomad in-core stuff that can be happening over there. So I'm gonna imagine that I want these. I'm gonna imagine that I want Pyroblasts, and then some amount of this stuff is potentially playable as well. I think I'm never playing Fable. I think that's just very slow. I think Mother of Runes doesn't matter. I think I can just 1-for-1 with my opponent with their removal and be okay with that happening. I think it is much more about not losing the game. Surgical's weird, assuming that my opponent is on Nadu as well as Cephalid Illusionist. The Surgical doesn't really do much versus the Nadu combo. I think I need Long Goodbye. Prismatic Ending is another early answer to things like Shuko and Nomads in core. I think Therapy matters. Therapy plus Surgical is interesting. I'm having trouble with slots, though. I think I can cut 2 broadsides, but I think unless I start touching therapies, I think like these are the final 2 slots that I can reasonably cut. I think everything else matters too much. So I think that's these 2. And I don't mess around with these. This is pretty mid. Wasteland is fine to good. I don't have mana for Long Goodbye. I think I say no to this. Well, this is the same hand as last time, except I have mana for Long Goodbye. On 6, I think I'm going to reluctantly keep this. This doesn't feel super strong, though. I expect to lose this game. I mean, yeah, we take that. And hopefully we just have a little bit of time to draw out of this. Like, if I draw a 1-drop of some kind, be it interaction or a 1-drop threat, I think this hand goes from very mediocre to quite good. Another Wasteland would be great, too. We drew another 2-drop. So this is going to turn into a Surveil land instead. And unfortunately, I'm probably going to have to pass my next turn with Long Goodbye available. My opponent plays out one of the combo pieces here. Alright, there is a fetch to clear that. They did not play out a combo piece. I guess that's good. But some portion of the time I will die if I tap out for a 2-drop here. That's a good 2-drop. I'll cast that one. Yeah, I think that one is worth playing. Like, there's obviously some risk here. Like, this can't be countered. But this card is kind of insane. I think I am willing to take the risk to put that into play. Especially if my opponent does not move it immediately on my turn. And here is the green that is probably indicative of Nadu actually existing within the deck list. There is Nadu. Now, I have Caracas, but I probably will just... Ooh. Swords Nadu? Nah. No, I think I just want the hard no here. That can't be countered. Alright, so my opponent gets a Ponder for their trouble. I'll attack for 2. I don't think I'm losing to fair Urza Saga stuff right now. Oh, hoo. It is play Urza Saga prior to Ponder? That feels wrong. Well, they like whatever they have. So we're going to go ahead and attack Harsh Mentor into an Urza Saga token here. Yeah. Opponent goes to 15. Play Cat with Scrubland Caracas available. Sounds good. I could play Staff of the Storyteller, though, instead. And draw a card at their end step. I think I like that. Sometimes, like, weird Pithing Needle things can happen. But if that happened rather than my opponent getting a Shuko, I think I consider that a win. Okay, so Harsh Mentor damages them for doing that. I'm not going to mess around with killing these immediately. I might clean them up in a little bit. We shall see. Loading mana. Alright, there is Shuko. Whatever this is, it's big. It's like a prismatic ending, yeah. That happens. Did my opponent play a land already? Nope. And I will be taking damage here. I don't want to get got by land drop into go off. So even though there's a good chance that I take some damage here and like maybe even remove this creature at end of turn, I don't think it is worth potentially losing the game over. End of turn, I am fine swordsing this around a daze and then drawing a card. And we'll hold up long goodbye in some capacity here. While playing my other stuff, apparently. Nice. Get another scrub. Go to punchies. Punchies. 15. Planeswalker friend. Charge up staff. Ocelot Pride. I have the city's blessing here. However, I did not gain life this turn. Alright, so Urza Saga does Urza Saga stuff again. Finding a new Shuko. Now there is a Cephalid Illusionist, which I will long goodbye as soon as I get priority. So my opponent equips, and I will give it a long goodbye, which can't be countered. Hopefully there's not another one. If there's another one, I die. Okay, it's just a prismatic ending. That's totally fine. Ooh, Swords is great. So let's draw a card. Ooh, it's Amped Raptor. I mean, let's go. I will cast a Guide of Souls, thank you. Go to punchies. This is 4 immediate damage. Opponent's at 10. I am going to make new friends and recharge staff while doing Guide of Souls nonsense. I have Swords to Plowshares available and Caracas available. We are doing a damn good job at playing the control role in this matchup. I am very happy with how this is feeling. We've gone through a lot. We've gone through Nadu and Cephalid Illusionist and 2 Urza Sagas. Yeah, like I get to disrupt this again. Swords, you. It's an Archamoeba friend. Alright, do you have a Force of Will? No. Nice. Now, do I have Lethal? 2 gets blocked. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't have Lethal, but I think I broke my opponent's spirit. This league is going pretty well. We have won 3 of our matches 2-0, and then lost one 1-2-1. You can decide what you think about that one. Okay. Hand is mid. I don't have anything to flashback the Cabal Therapies, so I probably get like 1.5 cards on average out of 2 Cabal Therapies, rather than them just straight 1-for-1ing. I'll get some information. This is a very high variance hand. Like, sometimes this will be insane and sometimes this will be terrible. I think it's a mulligan, but I could be convinced to keep it. Ah, this is a much stronger hand that needs to draw a second land in order to be viable. I think I am just going to get rid of Amped Raptor so I can fetch basic plains on as my first land. Windswept Heath pass. So Cabal Therapy probably bad versus that. A little tough to hit. Now, the $1,000 question is, what do I play off basic plains? I think it is Mom. I think it's very likely that we're going to see fetch Swords to Plowshares on something. And Mom is not part of the engine. It could get a little weird, though. If I hit the next... Okay. So, did my opponent just draw that Swords, or did they have it? We'll find out later, I guess. Guide of Souls pass. So now, hopefully, I just spike a land and get to play Ocelot Pride into Ocelot Pride and go wild. So, are we not doing it over there? Or are we just some sort of Maverick mid-rangey deck? We are not doing it. Fuck. That is not good with the resources that I currently have. I don't believe that I have more basics here. I do not. So this is Scrub. Wall Therapy, target you. We're gonna name Nadu. Fuck. It is not quite Nadu, but it is Nadu with extra steps. I have to take that green sun. Means that I am playing Ocelot Pride. Gaining life. The attack is fine. Yes, the attack is fine. I don't care about Dryad Arbor here. 17. I think I'm sacking Guide of Souls. No, I'm not going to get carried away with like the Ocelot Pride value. I'm just going to sack the Ocelot Pride. And we're going to go ahead and name Green Sun here. And take the effective copy of Nadu. And pass. The Caracas is a little inconvenient. I still get cats. And I still trigger Guide of Souls. But it's like not the best. My opponent gets a friend. And we'll start doing landfall stuff. They could pay there. Sure. Or pay here. Same difference. Are you holding back? Nope. Sure. So if I Bowmaster and ping a Nomad, my opponent just redirects it to the other Nomad. I'm probably not doing that. It's super inefficient to just play Ocelot Pride this turn. It kind of feels like it's what I'm doing. Yuck. Alright. I am not interested in trades here. And I'll start doing the thing. Next turn I can make Guide of Souls fly. This is scary. Nadu or a Cephalid Illusionist can get me here. It's Nadu. So my opponent can activate this a ton of times, both on their turn and my turn, and they're going to get this as well. I think I am close enough to dead here that I am just going to concede for my own time. Alright, so Harsh Mentor, Pyroblasts, Long Goodbye have been proven good here. I think that's what I'm interested in. I've boarded Fable out every round, I think. Probably going to continue to do so. Not that the card is bad, it just feels like one of the less essential things that are here. And then I think I went out some number of like Mother of Runes, Cabal Therapy type cards here. With Green Sun to tutor up Nadu. And potentially some other things as well. I don't know that Cabal Therapy is the most effective, and I think I need some ability to grind, and I think I'm good with all of these removal spells. No. This is probably good enough. I'm always keeping these. I am always keeping this, and then I'm throwing back one of the 3/2 drops. I probably throw back the slowest one. This is a red-white land for sure. And I get started with Guide of Souls. See if my opponent has a Mana Dork. Things like Delighted Halfling are somewhat common. They do not. Or more accurately, they did not play one. Don't think I show this turn. My Amped Raptors get a little worse in post-sideboard games because sometimes they are going to hit answers. So I think I'm going to play Ajani out first, despite the fact that Amped Raptor does have some higher upside associated with it. See what my opponent's got. Alright, there is a Delighted Halfling. I've got options now. I think I'm interested in trying to knock my opponent off of mana here. Like, just fully take them off balance. Sure, I'm gonna let that resolve. And I think I'm going to press the mana advantage here. Attack for 3, play Guide of Souls, and hope that I can just like amp Raptor into another threat and win this game before a Nadu can come down. Not sure if that is correct or not, but that is the path that I am going to sculpt for myself. Sure. That's almost a good card. Almost. Like, I'll like it in another turn cycle or two. We go up energy. I hit an Ocelot Pride. That's fantastic. Gain more. Send it. Yes. Let's make Guide of Souls better. And then at end step, we'll make a cat friend and gain some more energy. Most of the draws in my deck are pretty good right now, except other specifically red-white lands. Like Long Goodbye is totally fine if I draw a fetch land. Alright. Combat. You're going in, you're going in, you're going in. You know what? Fuck it. Everybody is here to party. And if my opponent gets cute with some double blocks, we can consider spending Long Goodbye. Okay, no, that's fine. I'll make that trade all day. Alright, opponent is down to 6. Do I just Long Goodbye the Springheart Nantucko to deny my opponent blockers? I would get got by, like, land, Shuko, Nadu. I think I accept that risk and just take this out and try to finish the game next turn. And just not give my opponent, like, 2 landfall blockers that can gum up a lot of this. I don't know. The landfall blockers don't matter if I get 6 going in the air, but I only have 2 energy when all of that is said and done. Yeah, I think I like leaning into the aggro there. Alright, we have land drop 4. None of it is blue mana. Okay, that is a Nadu. I mean, presumably. Oh, it's an Uro instead. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 showing damage. That fetch land is not live. This is theoretical lethal. So that gives me another energy. Okay, cool. So we force another game. I know that my opponent has Uro. I don't know that I want to mess around with Surgical. I haven't seen Illusionists yet. If my opponent is fitting in like Green Suns and Uros and presumably a little bit more of a toolbox, they may or may not actually have the Cephalid Illusionists. I think I'm going to call this good. I have other options, like I can Battle of Bywater, for example, but it's pretty slow and does not happen at instant speed when I need it to. I have a handful of reasonable cards. I don't have the 1-drop that I might like, but I have very, very good cards here. The Lighted Halfling is annoying. That's something that doesn't die to Orcish Bowmasters in particular. Yeah, that makes my turn 1 a lot better. So we'll get a Scrub. We probably just name Nadu in the dark here. Keep it from coming down immediately. Ooh. It is the Green Sun instead. Now, if my opponent goes just like Bird into Keen-Eyed Curator, I can just take that next turn. But if they play like Keen-Eyed Curator and immediately eat the Cabal Therapy, it is inconvenient for me. Damn it. Yeah. So, Green Sun for Nadu is potentially about to happen. If I want to remove Bird, I can do it now. I think I'm just going to play a Harsh Mentor. Get a Plateau to do that. This makes Keen-Eyed Curator worse. There's not very many cards in Graveyard right now. It's not like Keen-Eyed Curator is that close to getting all 4 card types necessary to turn it into a 7/7. It can still beat me to death as a fucking 3/3 though. Like I will probably take 6 to 9 points of damage from that card this game, if I were to guess. Now, is there a fetch to clear for the Brainstorm, or is this the shuffle instead? This is the shuffle, and I'm gonna imagine that Basic Plains is now back in the deck somewhere. I will take 3. Now this fetch land will hurt due to Harsh Mentor. I could kill a Nadu with Broadside. I think I am more interested in playing Amped Raptor and trying to build my own board, or maybe permanently answer Nadu. Let's see what happens here. Staff of the Storyteller. Not my ideal, but I guess we'll take it. Charge up a little bit. I don't think I am just going to bounce Nadu immediately. I think that's chilling in play. Alright, Harsh Mentor damage. Harsh Mentor has had a good run today. Okay, while Harsh Mentor is in play, this is not that scary. Because every one of those is a shock. I'm just going to think about this for a second and make sure that I don't want to bounce Nadu in response. I don't think that I do. So, Harsh Mentor stuff starts happening. Yeah. Lords on Harsh Mentor is very good. I guess I now have to make my opponent replay this. It just feels bad. This isn't really giving them a card, like they would have gotten it anyway. If they recast it, they end up getting one more card, but that's kind of whatever. So life's bad now. My opponent is going to do this a whole bunch. I'm going to give you the fast forward here. Okay, I think I am not immediately dead. My opponent has produced an Uro and dumped a bunch of lands into play. They're attacking me for 3. I'll go ahead and take that. I don't think it's likely that I win through, like, Caracas Uro, Nadu, draw a whole bunch of other cards. I might just concede. Like, I can try to junk something. My opponent can just, like, do all the things in the world. I could pretend that I'm playing Magic here, but I don't think I am anymore. I'm going to go ahead and tap out. We still end up with a positive record for the league, though, and the deck felt good. All right, so how do we feel about this? Positive. I will say that even with Harsh Mentor, like, shoring up some of these, like, Nadu Mystic Forge type matchups, they still don't feel great. Like, that feels like a tough matchup, and I understand why Harsh Mentor is there. Or just not the most interactive for those sorts of decks. We have some interaction, but I don't think it keeps up with the speed, especially if we are trying to tap out to play our creatures. So I thumbs up Harsh Mentor as tech. I like that a lot. I just don't know that it's good enough. Like, it is probably the correct thing to be playing, but, like, does that actually swing the matchup hard enough? I'm not sure that the answer is yes. Overall, I like this deck a lot. I think I would lower the curve by getting rid of 2 Fable of the Mirror Breakers. I just junk them in every round. If we're playing against slower, more controlling deck lists, like, they're absolutely going to be gas, and copying, you know, your Ajanis and such can be very, very strong. Alternatively, I could see playing 2 more Broadsides. I didn't draw them the most this league, but, like, Broadside is Broadside. Broadside throwing tokens and stabs and stuff is good. Mom felt medium. There's some tension in the deck list between wanting to play out your Guide of Souls and Ocelot Prides ASAP to do the thing that is powerful that your deck is capable of doing, and wanting to have protection for the powerful things that your deck is capable of doing. I would need a lot more games with this deck to get a perfect feeling for, like, where exactly we fall on this line, like what is correct. But I think I'm into junking Fables, maybe 2 Broadsides, maybe 2 Bowmasters, maybe another 2-drop of some kind. I think I like the 5 main deck removal spells. Prismatic Ending is the worst of them, but having the ability to hit some keys and things like that was definitely relevant in this league versus what Swords to Plowshares is capable of doing. Generally speaking, I think I'm going to thumbs up the sideboard. I would need more games to, like, really get a feel for the in-out numbers. Sometimes it felt like we had too many viable cards in the sideboard and not enough things that we wanted to cut. Like, we may be overly directed at a couple of matchups, and I could still see wanting a couple more pieces of Graveyard Hate in there. But yeah, I'm going to thumbs up this one. I think the Energy Shell overall is pretty powerful. I love what Staff of the Storyteller is doing for this shell. I'm not 100% sure that we have broken things with this here, but I think we're on the right track. You don't have your energy cards yet. Just saying, you know where you can get them. Promo code ThrabenU to save you a little bit on your order. And folks, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. And don't forget to vote. See ya.